Representative Jane, how are you? You want these hearings?
I'm white. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm not pouring wine while we're
Good evening, everyone. Hello, Michelle Cruz, welcome. Welcome to the City of Lemon Grove's regular city council meeting. I'd like to remind everybody to please shut off your cell phones. And City Clerk, would you please call the roll of the city council members to go on the record as named?
Councilmember Heredia.
Here.
Councilmember Fayai.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Here.
Mayor Snow.
Here.
Mayor Snow, we have a quorum of the city council.
All right, wonderful. I'd like to ask Councilmember Fayai if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready to begin.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could bug you, if you could just stand again. In remembrance, we lost here in Lemon Grove, we lost 2 young lives. Nadia Charles and Junior. As a mom, this is difficult. But we lost Junior Joseph Justin as well. They're both in their early 20s. It was a tragic accident that never should have occurred. And just want to take a moment to show respect to their families. And tomorrow, actually, the pastor of their church is going to hold a memorial service for them. The memorial service will be at 10 a.m. right there at the corner of Buena Vista and Broadway. The 7-Eleven side is where they've put flowers, but then the memorial service will be across the street. So if you want to come show your love and support, the parents of Nadia live in Chile, and the father of Junior lives in Canada, and his mom precedes him in heaven. And so we're their surrogate family. So if you can, please come and join in the memorial service, but I'd like to honor them with a moment of silence now in thought and good vibes for them. Thank you so very much. changes to the agenda?
Mayor Snow, we have no changes to tonight's agenda.
Okay, and we have no presentations for this evening, so we're going to move to the general, public comment portion of the meeting. As a reminder, the public may express concerns, for items not on the agenda. So if you have a non-agenda item that you'd like to speak to, please come up at this time. If you haven't already, filled out a slip for to be able to speak, the slips are right over there on the table, as you're coming in. And you can drop those slips off to our clerk. Please note that according to state law, we're not allowed to respond to anything as part of, the process of receiving comments. We listen carefully to what you have to say. We might have staff reply to some of the comments, but we'll make a note. If you want us to contact you back, please put your contact information on your speaker list and ask for a callback or follow-up. And we will be able to contact you back with more additional information. Per Lemon Grove Municipal Code, Chapter 2.14.15, all remarks must be addressed to the city council as a body and not to any individual member. We'll give everyone 3 minutes as a maximum, and there's light on the table. Green means go, yellow means you have about 30 seconds left, and red means stop. And we will go ahead and call for any speakers. Do you have any speaker slips? First up, we have Robin Todd, and then we'll have Richard Gold. So first, Robin Todd, please.
Greetings all.
Let's speak directly into the mic. It's on.
Mayor Snow, I am here representing the 79th Assembly District under the leadership of Dr. Shasha Collins. I left my information with Joel, if you guys need to get in touch with us. And I congratulate all of you for your positions here for the Lemon Grove area. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and tell the assembly member we really appreciate her sending you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right, next speaker we have is Richard Gold.
My name is Richard Gold. I've been a resident.
Richard, if you could pick up the wireless mic and then speak directly into the mic, please.
My name is Richard Gold. I've been a resident in Lemon Grove for over 40 years now. My daughter was born here. One of my grandkids was born here. The only thing I'd like to say is I'd really like to see these meetings Zoom. As a matter of transparency, every other city I've called, and I've called a lot of them, does it. And I would really appreciate it if you would agendize that and get it done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome you all. Everybody new and old.
So much. Next, we have Brenda Hammond.
Happy New Year. Not long ago, there was a program put in place that we were a pilot of for, to use business video cameras and residents' personal cameras to catch that. However, I think it's being misused. I've talked about this at all different city council meetings in East County. I started it years ago before you guys even started the pilot program. I see people purposely messing with people to catch reaction on camera. This is harassment. When I see this, I give them exactly what they're looking for, because dropping the F-bomb is not against the law. What's against the law is when you mess with someone, so they drop the F-bomb. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's people out there getting shot and stabbed and stuff. Why? Because people are messing with them. So, to get it on camera. I'm not blaming law enforcement. I feel bad that they have to put up with this county BS, because I think county doing things. I mean, people have told me that they got slipped $20 to go mess with somebody on camera for the county. And to me, that's entrapment. It shouldn't be done, and why are we taking the Mordilla for the city? I think we should stop. We don't need to do this county stuff anymore. We took the Mordilla years ago, which is a payoff. We don't need to do it anymore. Let another city do it. How about North County? Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, the next speaker we have is Mr. John L. Wood.
Just to give you an update, John Elwood, just to give you an update on the creek. They filled up that empty lot, and it was really full. We got 99% of it gone, but I don't know if it's going further up the creek or not, because the, building is next to Miller's parking lot. I haven't gotten up that far. I don't like walking along the creek, so, I don't know if they're going to do beyond that or not. There's just a little bit of stuff they need to remove. Just thought I'd let you know. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Next is Teresa Rosiak Profit.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council officials. Happy New Year, and I really do hope it's going to be a new year for Lemon Grove, 2025. I implore you to please agendize a discussion on the tiny homes. I implore you to please agendize the promenade bathrooms to give dignity to the homeless in Lemon Grove. I was granted 200 sleeping bag coats by the Lucky Duck Foundation. I have one here this evening. 197 of them have been handed out since right before Thanksgiving. 197 only to homeless in Lemon Grove. And I really could have used 100 more, but I have to watch how many I ask for. One of the homeless individuals was asked by the media, what does a sleeping bag coat mean to you? And he said, one word, survival. So if there would be anybody that would like to make a donation to the Lucky Duck Foundation, we would appreciate it. Each coat is $150, and it is made by someone who was previously homeless. For the remainder of my time, let us be in prayer and reflection for the two of our community members that passed away so suddenly, gone too soon. Thank you.
Next we have Nancy Milligan.
Happy New Year and congratulations to the new city council members and Happy New Year. I came up here to talk today about fireworks issue. New Year's Eve was like being in a war zone. I live in Lemon Grove West off of,
Sorry, we're gonna interrupt you just for a moment, just so we can hear you better. You almost have to eat that microphone.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
That's much
delicious.
better. Yeah.
The fireworks this, New Year's Eve, it was like being in a war zone. I have never experienced anything like this. it's gotten worse and worse as time goes on. I've talked to several people that said they tried to contact the sheriffs, and they were told that the sheriff will not come out on any part of those issues. Why is that? It's against the law, we have a drought going on, things are getting dry, and it's dangerous. Plus, it's disturbing the peace. This went on until almost 2 a.m. on New Year's Eve. It was impossible to sleep. It started about, I heard, I was not in Lemon Grove at the time, but it started around 8 p.m. So I would love to see us do something about this. This has been getting worse and worse with every holiday. This year it started at Christmas and just seems to ramp up until the next big holiday, and then it kind of trails off, but I'm sure we're gonna experience this in July again, so that's it.
All right, thank you so very much. All right, next up we have Matt Kostrinsky.
Good evening, Mayor and Council Member. I'm Matt Kostrinsky with Aspen Local 127. I come tonight to highlight the issue of outsourcing. The city services. I hope the Mayor and the Council will review in 2024 how the Council can bring in-house the work you are currently contracting out to private companies. This year, for example, the city will seek to contract out for deconstruction and reconstruction of bathrooms. If the city is able to I'd like to have internal staff review whether staff could do that deconstruction or construction. My folks think they could do it, at least the deconstruction, and they may be able to do it cheaper than what we've done outsourcing it. And in addition, you guys are going to spend about $5.5 million, I think, this year just on roads. And then probably in the future it'll continue because there's a lot of roads to be done, it'll be continual. And I think it's worthwhile to look what the cost would be to start up. So if you can actually have internally the staff here at Lemon Grove actually do the roads, what the cost is for that, for the equipment, for the training, certificates, and everything else. And then compare that to what it costs every time you have to have staff review a contracting out, to then go through the bidding process, and the cost to go through the bids, and to go to council for the bids, and then to contract with the companies, and then to oversee the companies and make sure they're on time, on budget, and to the quality that you want. I think to find out what the cost would be, and then how long, if it could be, that you'd actually make up if it's done internally. I don't think this is going to be a 1 or 2 year process for road repair and replacement. I think this is hopefully going to be a long-term lifetime for the city. And I think that it'd be better done. I know there's some equipment to do here. It's still to be done. So I hope you can direct staff to review about bringing in-sourcing a lot of these things that have been contracted out because of other issues that have been going on in the city for a long time. And so I appreciate your time, and thank you very much. I look forward to this year as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Bonnie Barenhoff.
Happy New Year, Council, Mayor, Council members, city staff members, members of the public. I'm here as a member of the East County Homeless Task Force and a volunteer with the Regional Task Force on Homelessness's annual point in time count, which is called the All Count. I just gave everybody a flyer and would invite everybody here that's concerned about homelessness in Lemon Grove, which is probably everybody, to participate in the count on January 30th. It will be right here. The site for Lemon Grove is at the Lemon Grove Library right across the street. It's bright and early at 4 a.m., but it's great because you're going to go out and count people experiencing homelessness that we can find. That's not everybody. But people on the dais and people in this room, you know where these people are living or staying for that evening. So it's helpful to count as many people as we can because it helps with federal funding for programs and services that we need, and housing that we need for our housekeepers. So I invite everybody to participate. It's really fun. You're going to meet a lot of neighbors, county staff, a lot of folks, and just really get out there on the streets early morning and do what you can for your community.
All right, thank you, Ms. Barenhoff.
public comment on the general public portion of the agenda have been received and distributed to all members seated at the dais. Copies are also available at the public review table, and that's all I have.
Thank you. And, does staff want to address any of the issues presented today?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. As part of the city council strategic plan this year is looking at, doing online city council meetings. So staff is currently working on that, and we're working on scheduling a workshop with the city council, hopefully by the end of January, sometime in February, so that's forthcoming. On the county project, as I said some time ago, we were working with the county to schedule a presentation, probably a workshop. We're looking at, I'm trying to schedule sometime in February, probably the latter part of February, but more on that when we finally nail a date down with them. And then lastly, Sergeant Seal with the Sheriff's Department can address the fireworks issue, please.
So I believe the young lady who addressed the fireworks issue stepped down. But the Sheriff's Office, of course, encourages everyone to please contact the Sheriff's Office with any fireworks issues, any gunshots issues. On a non-holiday night, if you call for a deputy, you're absolutely going to get the deputy. Sometimes we have, staffing considerations, especially on our holiday nights like New Year's Eve, 4th of July, where, as you can imagine, the fireworks are going off all night for the entire night. To give you a little understanding of staffing until midnight, we'll generally have 5 deputies on the beat. After midnight, we have generally 2 deputies on the beat. And a lot of times with just the absolute volume of calls for service for fireworks complaints, and the fact that oftentimes the citizens calling in the complaints don't know where the fireworks are coming from with a specific address, the deputies will do their best to conduct extra patrol in the area, and obviously if a citizen requests contact, we can identify exactly where the fireworks are coming from, and that citizen would like to sign a citizen's complaint form, the deputies will, be able to address those concerns. But as you can imagine, especially on a night like New Year's Eve, the volume just becomes overwhelming on some of these fireworks concerns.
All right, that concludes our general public comment section of the agenda. Now closed. Do I have a motion to approve the consent?
I move approval. I'll second that.
The motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza with a second by Councilmember Heredia. I will now conduct the roll call on the record. Councilmember Fayad. Aye. Councilmember Heredia.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Aye.
Mayor Snow.
Aye.
Mayor Snow. The motion on the table passes on a vote of 4-0.
Thank you so much. We have no public hearings today, so we'll move on to the rest of the agenda items. We'll move on to agenda item number 2, consideration of the process to fill the city council vacancy. We'll turn the time over to Lydia Rivero, our city manager, and Kristen Steinke, our city attorney, to present the staff report for us.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor and City Council, I am pleased to present a further discussion on the council member vacancy process that we began at our December 17th City Council meeting. Next slide, please. Just by way of background, because we are a general law city, Government Code Section 36512 governs our process for appointment. And there is 60 days to fill the vacancy either by appointment or by special election. At the direction of the City Council at the December 17th meeting, the council wanted us to return with a suggested process, timeline, application, and sample questions. The draft application is in the attached agenda report, as is the sample questions is in the attached agenda report. In the agenda narrative itself, we had the suggested process and timeline, but I will go over those 2 particular pieces of information in a few minutes. And again, this is to appoint a new member for the unexpired term that would end December 2026. So the staff suggested appointment process. The application period, if the council agrees, would start January 9th, this Thursday, and go through Thursday, January 23, which would be about a little over a 2-week process for someone that is interested in this to submit an application. The deadline to submit would be Thursday, January 23rd at 5 p.m., either physically in City Hall with a timestamp or delivered by mail with a postmark by the 23rd. There will be a council candidate forum that myself and the city attorney would sponsor, and it would share the requirements of the city council, the financial disclosures, and any other information that is needed and necessary for someone to make the decision on whether they want to sit in the city council position. Once we get all of the applications, we will include it in the agenda packet for the February 4th meeting, and that will be sent out to the city council and posted publicly no later than January 30th. Next slide, please. Depending on the amount of application, staff is suggesting Tuesday, February 4th for the interview and appointment process. If we get an abundance of applications, I may suggest to the council that we hold a special meeting perhaps on the day before to do the interviews, with the appointment process being on the February 4th meeting. Under state law, we have to do the appointment at a regularly scheduled meeting, not at a special meeting, but you can do interviews at a special meeting. And then just to overview what we're looking on the interview process, they would all be conducted in open session, such as a meeting like we do the meeting today. But there is also another consideration. Let's just venture that we get one application for the city council process. The city council can look at the application, look at the responses to questions, look at the resume, and then the council itself can determine to forego the interview process and just appoint that individual. The same goes for 2 applicants. Staff would probably not recommend that option if you had 4 more applicants, and you should give everybody a fair shake and have an interview. But in the off chance you get 1 or 2, which I think is going to be highly unlikely. Then on the vote of whoever you like as the appointment, it would be a ranked choice voting process. We would have a slip of paper with everyone's name on it. The city council members would either check or circle their top 3. We would collect those papers. We would then write it up on a board so everybody can see which names received the most votes. And then talk a little bit further on another slide, but we can continue to do that process until we get a single candidate. And then lastly, if the appointment happens on the 4th and you all decide on a single member to appoint to the city council, we would then conduct the oath of office, and the new city council member would be seated at your February 18th city council meeting. So it's a fairly quick process, and but it's a process to get somebody in here as soon as possible to help us. The next slide, please. So we're looking at the interview process, and staff laid out 3 different options for the city council to consider. All of them include an open chamber interview process. But the first option really limits the time, where the applicant will get 3 minutes to do an opening statement, and then each council member will get 2 minutes to ask, and the respondent will get 2 minutes to answer the question. That usually is about maybe 1.5 questions per council member for the applicant. Option 2 is, again, a 3-minute statement, but then there's 3 questions each council member gets to ask. Staff sort of timed that out with a 2-minute answer that would all be timed. That's about 24 minutes, 25 minutes per applicant. So if we have 10 applicants, that could be a special meeting that we'd have to do that at. Option 3 is that applicants could do option 1 or 2, but we would require the applicants to have a specific point, assigned time to come and do an interview. We would hold those applicants outside. They would check in with a staff member until their appointed time is to do the interview. And once they get their appointed time to do the interview, they obviously can go and sit in the audience. This allows the applicant, the first applicant and the last applicant, to have the same amount of fairness to answer the question, opposed to the last applicant listening to all of the answers and then refining their sort of responses to the city council. Now we're going on to the voting options. As I shared with the city council, we would ask for the top 3 on a slip, then we would then move forward with calculating those, and then we would continue to go through this process until either we had a top candidate or there was a tiebreaker. The second option would be a vocal voice count where the city council will then name the person in which they want to nominate. The third option is where the mayor has a discretion. If we go through the first option and the mayor has the discretion that if there is an impasse, she can then assign and choose whomever the tiebreaker person is. And then the last option is if we have 2 candidates that really have the same amount of votes, we can create a tiebreaker option in which the city clerk will have straws, and literally whoever draws the short straw ends up being on the city council. And that has happened in a few communities, quite frankly, at least one I know of. And then lastly, before I conclude my report, I just wanted to loop back with the city council. You did ask, will there be any other cities having a special election? There are 2 cities that are in our same position, the city of Coronado and the city of Encinitas. Both of them have indicated that they are going to do an appointment and go through an appointment process to fill their vacant seat for the remaining term. We could not get an answer from the county of San Diego. They will not be taking up this matter until the January 14th meeting, but the election officer did indicate that there would be no discount if we decided to go to a special election, which means it could be arranged between $250,000 and $500,000 for our special election. With that concludes staff's report, and the recommendation is to discuss this item. Direct staff is what the city council would like to do, and hopefully you can respond to any questions. I'm just going to check in with the city attorney to make sure I did not miss any topic we had discussed with them.
No, I have nothing to add. I think maybe for discussion purposes, it's easy to take that off, bite that off in chunks, which is the time frame or the schedule that's been presented, and then the interview process, and then the voting process. So 3 chunks of kind of what we're looking for from the city council and the direction that you'd like us to take. Thank you.
So we don't have any speaker slips at this time regarding this agenda item. And so if there's anybody who wants to fill out a form, run it real quick. All right, last chance? I do. Okay, go grab a slip. We want to hear from you. So yeah, you just grab a slip of paper there, you fill it out, and then give it to Mr. Pablo. Yes, there should be paper over there.
While he's doing that, there was also a written comment received via email, I believe earlier today or maybe yesterday. Copies of that have been provided to the city council, and a copy is on the desk up front for the public to review. Thank you.
Hold on just one moment, let me call on you, and then the closer you hold that to your mouth, the better we can hear you. So we have, is it Thelma Martinez?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Happy New Year to everybody, and,
You can hold the mic close to
it's
you.
my first time here, I'm a resident, I'm in the since 1977, and, I just concerned, on my, not just my street, but all the streets in the road, there's 18 wheelers driving on the road, there's houses there, owners that they have, 3 or 4 or 5 people maybe, they're destroying our streets, I don't wonder if we want this anything. Article that they can help us because we're taxpayers. I pay for my house. And somebody else comes and destroys, we don't know what's going on in the city of Boone Road. It was so beautiful last year, 2 years ago, but right now it's decaying. The streets and everything, I guess concerned.
Okay, so what I'll do is, if you can leave your contact information with us, and I'll have the staff follow up with you on that. That'll be good, and then we can't provide comment right now, the agenda item's on something else. But no problem, I know, it's a learning curve, but if you can give him your information, we'll make sure somebody gets back to you.
Okay, I appreciate that very much.
All right, thank you, Ms. Martinez. We have a second speaker slip for Matt Kostrinski.
Thank you very much, Mayor and City Council. The only thing I want to get clarity about is that if the public will get a chance to comment after the interview process about their opinions about the candidates or anything else, when that comment period would be in this thing. So I'd ask that in public comment. Thank you.
So Madam Mayor, I'm gonna answer that question right away. It would be built into the agenda item. So yes, the public, if they have a preference of a candidate or there's a candidate that they can support, that will be built into the agenda so the public can comment. It is a be open and transparent process.
Okay, and I wanna make sure, like, I like that people have the opportunity to have public comment after the interviews. All right, so we'll open it up for deliberation and questions. So we'll start with Councilmember Fayad. Any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Councilmember Heredia?
Yes, I'd like to go back over, the number 1. Could you explain that one again? The difference between 1 and 2, actually? The number 1, it was, I didn't understand exactly, it was like, we could ask whatever questions we wanted?
Correct. It would be, or if the council decided to have one question that they ask, they have to ask that same one question of all of the candidates. And it would be one question, and it would be, the 2 minutes would start when you answer your question and the response, and then they would move on. So it would be a little bit of a more truncated process. You could do option 1 to keep the time down, and then you could require the candidates on the sample questions that I gave you. You might pick 1 or 2 of those sample questions that we can add to the application as written. So the council candidate can verbally write out what they want based on the question you all choose. So you could use that also, the written statement as a calculus for them.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Councilmember Heredia?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Councilmember Mendoza?
I think I said this before, but I've been through this twice myself. And once I was an applicant and, I was not chosen. I had to run for office in order to get here. And so I'm trying, that was a long time ago. That was probably 14, 16 years ago, something like that. But, at that time, it was the voting, and I think we did this for planning commission years ago also. The voting process was that it was, I think, option 2, where the clerk would call out someone's name and then everyone voted for them. But then, what if you're not the first person that's called out? And then all the council members, all four of them vote for the first person that was called out? Then it doesn't, that didn't seem fair to me. It worked out okay for planning commission for me, but it didn't work out okay for city council. Although I do think the person that the council chose at the time was, definitely the best, they made the best decision. He was very, he was the best man for the job. So I do like option number 1 better, where each council member writes their top choices on a piece of paper. And it's kind of more fair for all of us too, where we're not, I'm not thinking, oh, Councilmember I is voting yes for this person. If we all put it on a piece of paper, we don't know until we turn the paper in. It's really more fair, I believe, for the applicants. And then if we do get, 2 or 3 people that get, where it's a tie, 3 votes, then what we do is we go through again and exclude everybody else, and then just put those top 3 people. So I think that was how we did it for, when we appointed Councilmember, Altamirano, and that seemed like a pretty fair process at the time. And then I also like the idea, I don't like the idea of trying to trip up the applicants. I want the applicants to know ahead of time what we're gonna ask them so that they can be prepared with their answers. And one thing we did, like one time I remember having prepared questions ahead of time, and we all picked the question, we might have done that for planning commission. We picked the question that we wanted to ask. Maybe we all had input into what the questions were gonna be, and then our question was something that was important to us for one reason or the other. And again, I like the idea of having those questions, put together by us. We can send, our ideas to the, city manager, or we could say what they are right now. And then let the applicants know what they're gonna be quizzed on. I mean, generally, they're gonna be quizzed on the application as well. And I think we could beef up the application a little bit. I think it's important why someone's education, is important, but it's not the be all end all. I think more important is their community involvement, and I don't see on here, like what boards or committees that people have sat on in the past. For instance, if you have been the president of a nonprofit, like the Seroptimus or the Forward Club, you know how to preside, at a meeting like we're doing right now. And so I do like to see that added, not just what your community involvement is, but do you actually have some experience in a nonprofit or even a for-profit, being on a board. And then sometimes that could mean that your actual work experience, what you do for a living, isn't that incredibly important. What's more important is what you're involved in. Because frankly, a lot of us work at jobs that aren't our passion. We just have to pay the bills. But what we do for community involvement, that shows our passion. And I'd like to see someone on the council that has a real passion passion for our community. So those,
So a couple of suggestions that I have, I really like the idea that we submit questions that we all want to be included in there, have the staff summarize it. And then we have that January 15th meeting, so I think if we have our questions into staff by maybe January 12th or 13th to allow staff the time to kind of synthesize, and if any are duplicative, we'll kind of make those fit a little bit better, so that we will have those questions available at that January 15th meeting. I think would be really helpful. I do like the idea that people prepare in advance. I think we get better answers, better responses, and it's more fair. And then also on the application, where we have the employment section, in lieu of providing employment history, to just attach a resume or CV would also be acceptable. But I think having an application for people to fill out first is really important for us to see. Not everybody is a great public speaker, and this is an opportunity to write out their thoughts. And also include a section if there's any endorsements or support for them in that application as well. So I'll go through and do another round of questions, and then this will be your opportunity to deliberate. And so if you have any thoughts or anything else you want to add, and then I'm gonna let this city manager address one issue first.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza, for the community involvement, do you want it in space in which you list all of your boards and commissions and extracurricular community involvement, whether it's pertaining to city government or not city government? Trying to get that way, okay.
Help Scout lead.
And would you suggest still keeping the narrative of other, that we currently have in the application that says, list activities in which you were involved? You wanna delete that and then rechange it and then perhaps put something else that they can write a better narrative?
Yeah,
For your information?
I feel like that was kind of vague.
Okay.
I think we should be more,
Specific? Okay. And beef up that more specific with the list of their, community activities, whether it's on boards or commissions and other nonprofits, that serves the Lemon Grove, greater Lemon Grove community.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the next one would capture things like, people that have obtained like a certificate, for, some kind of technical certificate outside of education necessarily, or education, that, whether it's relative, well, I think it's relative.
Yeah, they can say like they are a CPA.
Yeah.
But their current job is not necessarily dealing with accounting.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
All right, now we'll continue with deliberations and any additional questions that you have, Councilmember Fayad?
I don't have any questions, but I do agree with, I think, the sentiment that we all share, that it would be great to have, obviously it would be great to have someone who's passionate about the city of Lemon Grove and who's passionate about moving the city forward. So I think that I believe if this goes through, that the applications will be available Thursday, but I would just encourage, there are a lot of people who probably won't see the live stream, or who probably are not here at this meeting. We have a lot of very gifted, a lot of people in the city of Lemon Grove who love this city. And so, I think between us and everyone here, if you know someone who who's passionate about Lemon Grove and who can, you know, spend 2 years of their lives, here, but, encourage them to apply, because I think having everyone and anyone apply, you know, there's probably somebody who's never been to a meeting or never serves at, you know, in multiple capacities. So it'd be great for us to be able to see and meet those people and then give them an opportunity to apply and see if they qualify and if they're willing to give of their lives for 2 years to serve at this capacity. But I'm excited for what's to come. I believe this is the route that we should go as far as appointing the fifth member of council.
And I'll look to the city manager to see if she has any comments on this. I think it's okay.
Councilmember Faye, what we would do if the council does support the appointment process is make sure that there's news releases out, it's all on our social media. Whenever a member of city staff goes and does a presentation or speaks, for example, I have a gentleman going to the Clergy Association meeting tomorrow morning, he will announce the availability of the applications. If we have our local reporter in the room, I'm hoping the local reporter will help get the word out for the applications. So we will make sure that there's a robust marketing campaign for that very short truncated period. But it's also dependent on all of you sitting up here to share the word with your friends and community members that you work with in your nonprofits to see if they're interested as well. And then come to the candidate forum and check out whether this is something that they really want to do for the next 2 years or not.
And then Councilmember Faye, regarding the time frame and the interview process and the proposed voting options, what are your preferences there?
I do, I believe Councilmember Mendoza mentioned, but I would love, I do agree with the fact that we should, a lot of people aren't very interview savvy, but they have a wealth of, they have a resume that, you know, that's 10 pages long, and, you know, working for Sprouts Farmers Market, I don't know if we can say that, but, I'm not endorsing them. I know that when we get a lot of applicants, who don't interview well, but they have so much great experience, and they end up being the best, right? Because anybody can say anything, and interview well, but they just don't have the experience. So, going back to, I think, I agree with as far as voting option. Is that what you're asking? Sorry. I would vote, I like option 1, and as far as the voting option, and then the interview option process, I like option 1.
Okay. Councilmember Heredia, any questions and opportunities to deliberate?
I did want to just clarify with Councilmember Mendoza when she wanted to add to the community section. We're still going to leave in like community involvement, right? Like Busy Bees isn't a nonprofit or not a board, but
Yeah.
so some people. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I just want to make sure because I know there's a lot of people in the community like that are great people. And then that was my only like clarification there. As far as where I'm kind of leaning, I actually like option number 3 for the interviews, just because I did apply for planning commission, and it is nice to have, I think people can individually give their true answer instead of hearing all the answers as it goes on. The person in the end of the line has a little bit more advantage than the person at the beginning. And then as far as the voting options, I like number 1.
Okay, Councilmember Mendoza.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm fine with the timeline, and have we done a council applicant informational forum before? I like that idea.
We did it when we did Mrs. Altamirano's appointment.
Okay.
Myself and the city attorney, yeah, I think Krista was the city attorney at the time. Her and I were in this room, we met with probably 18 or so applicants, and about 12 applied. I think some of them, were dissuaded with the financial disclosure process when we talked about FEPC and those public disclosures. But I think it's good information for somebody that is applying to understand what they're getting into.
Exactly. Okay, yes, I really like that idea. Okay, thank you.
I have one additional suggestion on the application. We may want to put a word count on it. Sometimes these can get really long. So we already do a lot and have to read a lot. There's a lot of homework involved. If you want to be on city council, there's a lot of homework. So as far as the time frame goes, I really like the time frame. I also like the fact that there's a space of time between February 4th and February 18th to help get them onboarded, so that they're not just voted in and then immediately have to take their seat. So I really like that option. And I think it moves us quickly enough along. As far as the interview process goes, I like option 1, but a combo with option 3, so that people are only permitted to enter when it's their turn, to make it as fair as possible. And I think the idea of having somebody give a personal statement at the beginning is great. It's that it's their opportunity to frame it the way they have, the way they want to tell their story. Then as far as the voting options go, I also am in agreement that option 1 is my favorite. And I just wanted to say, I'm glad that the council was able to resolve this in such an efficient manner. It's important for us to be able to have the seat filled as soon as possible. We're getting involved in a period of time where there's a lot of things happening in our community and the surrounding community, and we don't just sit here as members of a city council. We also sit on committees throughout the region, and it is a considerable amount of work. It is, even one extra body on here will do a lot to help spread out that work. It truly is a labor of love to be able to do all of this. But I'm really grateful that we were able to work together to reach this, and I think we are going to find some amazing candidates in our community that are willing to step up and take this opportunity to help with the transformation of this city to something even better. All right.
I have one comment, or question. You offered the suggestion of a word count. If you're looking at the application that we have, as an example, how would you like to limit that? And when you think of 250 words, that's quite a few. If you wanna narrow that down a little bit, so how many sentences would you like to see so that we can kind of come up with a word count for what we're expecting?
I would just say no more than 250 words.
Okay.
And I think that's plenty, like this.
I mean, I could write it, yeah.
Just a suggestion, most things can be done with bullet points. Most things, I mean, we've got a lot to look at, so.
We can add a description of please be brief, use bullet points or be concise. Okay, thank you.
All right, does staff feel like they have adequate information to be able to move forward?
I wanna do a check-in to make sure I got this correct. Everybody is okay with the voting option number 1, top 3 choices on a piece of paper, and we'll continue to vote down of the top 3 choices. On the interview process, everybody seemed okay with the option 1, but also mirroring the option 3, so the applicant would sit outside and wait till their appointed time to come in and do the interview. If everybody's okay with that, I can blend those 2 together perfectly. And then there was a suggestion that the city council submit questions that they would like us to give the council candidates at the forum on the 15th. If that's gonna be okay, you can use the list that staff has suggested. If you like it, don't like it, you wanna add, send it to us so we can get that done. Was there any other questions, perhaps from this list, that you think may be better written opposed to asked verbally? Because some of these are redundant, this is a list we've used before. But is there any one question that you think, you know, I really want to ask that question, but I don't want to use up my passion question, and they can all write their answer on that. If you would like that between now and tomorrow afternoon, when we're gonna finish all of that, just, you can email it my way and let me know what question you would like, and we can add that to the application with a bullet point or no more than 250 words, explaining your response, almost like an SAT. And everybody is okay with the timeline, so these would be available Monday morning at 8 a.m. So we get it up online at 8 a.m. on Thursday, and they'll be available at the city clerk's office and online that they can download and fill out themselves. That's it. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of your time and effort on this one, and we'll get this moving as fast as possible. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Now we'll move on to agenda item number 3, appointment of city council members to committees, commissions, and boards. So I am going to present the staff report. I've provided in advance of this a list of the different committees available to the council. I've tried distributing based on, I've had the opportunity to meet with folks, find out their interests and concerns, and what really inspires them and where they want to make a big difference. And so I've tried to allocate those interests and compare them to the different committee positions available. And really the drive of this is not to, really the drive is to do the best job for the city and for the region. And so we're trying to put the best people in the best positions to be able to affect that change. And so there's a number of different commissions, boards, and committees that people will have the opportunity to sit on that do that. So I'd like to open it up for comment. I will go ahead and start at the beginning. From the original report that I submitted, there were a couple of changes that I think would be better. One of the issues is the wastewater program. And so that's one of the issues where we've seen significant issues. And so I've asked some people to come and speak on this from the wastewater. I can't see because I haven't put my glasses back on. Okay, they're here. So we will have the opportunity to hear from them, but there are a few changes that I think we might need to make. But I think that this is a good starting point for us. So with that, we'll go ahead and move forward to public comment. We have some speaker slips.
And Mayor Snow, just to share that I passed out the updated list that you were talking about, and there's one available for the public to review the updated list as well.
All right, the first speaker we have is Leanne Jones Santos.
And then really quickly, Madam Mayor and City Council members, our written public comment on this matter has been received and distributed to all members seated on the dais, and copies are also available at the public review table.
Good evening, Mayor Snow and council members of the Lemon Grove City Council. My name is Leanne Jones Santos. I'm the Senior Accountant and Assistant Treasurer of the Metro JPA. And I'm here this evening to speak on behalf of our Executive Director, Karen Keys, and the Metro JPA Commission. Unfortunately, Karen wasn't able to attend. We are respectfully requesting that you continue to Jerry Jones as your primary representative from the city of Lemon Grove to the Metro Wastewater JPA Commission for an additional year. This will allow him to remain as the chair of the commission, during which is a pivotal time for wastewater negotiations and projects in our region. Mr. Jones has been an invaluable member of the Metro JPA for 22 years, 8 years as the assistant chair and 8 years as chair. Under his leadership, the JPA has reached a critical stage in negotiations with the city of San Diego regarding a new operating agreement and more equitable charges for the system. These negotiations began 2 years ago, and we expect that they will conclude in the next 6 months to a year. To lose Mr. Jones's leadership now would mean losing the strong, trusted relationship that he has been able to cultivate with the city of San Diego. His efforts over the past 2 years have resulted in significant savings for wastewater customers. Specifically, with the review by the executive director, engineering consultants, and his overview, he helped secure $200 million in savings. How's that happen? They don't just charge wastewater, they charge water. This savings translates directly to the city of Lemon Grove in the form of $2.7 million. Again, quite the accomplishment for Mr. Jones, and this is just one of them that he's been able to impact. For a moment, I'd like to speak from personal experience as Leanne Jones Santos. Prior to my current role as treasurer, I used to work for the city of San Diego as the assistant director for financials with public utilities. I sat across the table from Mr. Jones. I can attest to the trust and integrity that he brings to this position, the qualities that transform the relationship between Metro JPA Commission and the city of San Diego. It's at a very good place right now. It hasn't always been that way. On behalf of the Metro JPA Commission, I'd like to thank you. We do recognize that Mr. Jones was appointed after his retirement from City Council, so we don't want to be unappreciative of that fact. But again, his leadership over these years has helped guide the City of San Diego and the JPA through critical negotiations and is really benefiting at the cost to our ratepayers. While we hope that these agreements would be finalized by now, we do need just a little bit more time to finish. Again, we'd like to thank you for reconsidering this, and also thank you for allowing him to work with us, and also thank him for his hard work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. Next speaker we have is Peter DeHoff. You have to put it really close to your mouth. There you go.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Thank you for taking the time to hear my statement tonight. My name is Peter DeHoff, and I serve as a city council member in the City of Poway. I'm also the vice chair of the Wastewater Joint Powers Authority, where Jerry Jones currently sits as the chair. I'm here tonight to support Jerry Jones continuing as the primary representative for Lemon Grove on the Wastewater Authority. We are in the final stages of several complex long-term initiatives slated for completion hopefully in 2025. Jerry's been on the board for about 22 years. He brings invaluable institutional knowledge and insight to the various agencies involved. And this insight is crucial for the successful and smooth completion of these projects. While it's not technically required for that board, I do understand the importance of having an elected representative for each of the participating agencies. However, the Wastewater JPA manages a diverse range of agencies across the region, and each of them have their own timelines and processes, which can sometimes extend the time that's needed for some of these initiatives to get completed. Now specifically, what we have that's really important is we're putting the final touches on the second amended restated agreement, or SARA, it's a mouthful, which is a comprehensive overhaul of interagency operations, and it's really going to streamline processes and make them more manageable. But the real biggie, I think, is the functional allocated billing system, which is a complex cost allocation agreement between the agencies, and it's needed with the implementation of these new pure water programs that are going on with several of the member agencies as it really just where the costs need to be allocated fairly. But once complete, these initiatives will create a stable foundation for future board members, easing their transition into the board by mitigating what is currently a very steep learning curve. So in conclusion, I urge the board to maintain Jerry's leadership for at least 2025, because his continued guidance will be pivotal in finalizing these initiatives and ensuring a seamless transition for future members. And thank you again for your time and consideration, and I look forward to your decision.
Thank you, Councilmember DeHaan, for coming all the way out here, along Director Poway. Would you mind coming back up? I'm just gonna ask a question. So you currently sit as vice chair. Do you think you'd be able to take Jerry's position at this time, or?
I would certainly sit in the chair, but I definitely could not fill his shoes over there. I mean, he's really got just this huge, it's the institutional knowledge is really important, because a lot of what we do, and you guys know, serving on boards, a lot of this is who you know and your relationship with them. You understand what their needs are and where they're coming from, and that helps build these agreements and build that trust. And Jerry has done that through his time on the board. I certainly do my best, but I'm coming here telling you as a vice chair, we need Jerry there.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have Mark Robeck.
Well, thank you for having us here and speaking on behalf of Jerry. So, first off, I want to say congratulations to the two newest city council members. That's a big step, and there's a lot of work ahead for you, and obviously Mayor Snow with your new role. So congratulations on that. And as well, I've been elected myself. It was a water district for 20 years. Elected another water district for 4 years before that. So I've been involved with the Metro JPA since its inception in 1996. So I'm a former chair myself. And I gotta say, like Leanne and Peter said, it's not simply filling a role, it's actually pretty complicated. I mean, the city of San Diego wastewater system, which all of the cities contribute to, is a multi-billion-dollar system. And Jerry, to his credit, has mastered that. And it's not just a simple matter of somebody, even Peter's a pretty smart guy himself, him just simply stepping in. So I think, in the interest of, certainly, I believe in the interest of the city of Lemon Grove, it would behoove you to continue with Jerry, continue with his body of knowledge, not just for the benefit of the city of Lemon Grove, but all 14 participating agencies with other cities and water districts in San Diego County. So, I think it's critical. That's why I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of keeping Jerry as the primary, because Jerry as the primary will continue as the chair of the Metro JPA. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And next up, we have John L. Wood.
John L. Wood. It's my understanding that you cannot be appointed to a county board unless you are elected to a city council to represent. So, as long as Jerry's been there, a lot of it's been since he retired, and he should have given it up. And I don't understand why he's still on the board, because he's not a member of the city council of Lemon Grove. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. I would like if the city attorney could address the issue that Mr. Wood presented. I think it's an important point.
Thank you. This issue came up last year, actually, because the first year that Mr. Jones was no longer on the council was last year, and he served in his capacity as representative of Lemon Grove last year as well. There's nothing in the bylaws that of the JPA that restricts the board members from being seated council members, nor is there anything in our code or in state law or other law that would restrict the appointment to that board to being an elected official of the city of Lemon Grove. So you can appoint a community member to sit on that board. Now, other boards may be different. Sandbag, for example, you need an elected official. Felix, I believe, also needs an elected official, but the JPA does not have that in their bylaws.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, very much, Attorney Steinke, and now we'll turn the time over to questions. Councilmember Fayad?
I think the city attorney just answered my question that I had, the only question that I had. Dang it. Thanks a lot for sending me my question.
All right, Councilmember Heredia?
Okay, so yes, I see though that with the changes that are being suggested, that FII now has no main seat on any board. He was on the MTS, now he's not. It switched from him being on the top to Mendoza on the top. I don't know if that was just a clerical error. Other than that, I think that's the only question I had, or the only thing I saw on there that was unbalanced.
Okay. Councilmember Mendoza?
Okay, I'm gonna speak to all, to the three changes, although one of them's not in red, and just pointed out. So first, the Metro, yes, we, as a council, decided to keep Mr. Jones in that position. I've sat as an alternate on that board, so has Councilmember Snow, and neither one of us wanna step up and try to take his place. I mean, we know, because we've, had some experience with this, we know how complicated and, it's not, I don't wanna say that it's complicated, that it's something we can't understand, because we understand it, but it's about relationships, and it's about the relationships that we know Mr. Jones has built up with, other members on the board. For instance, in all my time, I've heard of Mr. Robeck, but I've never seen him in person, so thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. You're kind of infamous, in some.
That's good.
So it's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Robeck, and thank you for coming. But, the one thing I want to encourage here is that I'm for this. I am definitely for this. I was for it before, I'm for it now, because I think we're still at a critical juncture with this project. But we can't, I don't think we should keep doing this forever. And if we have, Jessica is our alternate, I want a, Mr. Jones hasn't spoken yet, but I do want a commitment from Mr. Jones that he's going to bring her up to speed on this, so that at some point, we can actually have her be, our representative on the Metro JPA, because she's expressed an interest in doing that, and I appreciate it, that she's expressed that interest in moving forward. We realize, of course, she's not gonna be the next chair, and I also think that we need a commitment from Metro that they're going to, and Jerry, that they're gonna prepare someone to be the next chair, soon. You need to do that. You need a succession plan. We need a succession plan. We can't rely on Jerry forever. wants to go back to his garage and work on his woodworking projects and sit on his tractor and dig up his backyard. I don't think he's all into doing this either, but he wants to fulfill a commitment. So, that's what I'm looking for with this, is I'm gonna say yes to this now, but next year, I really think we need to move on. As far as MTS, I've sat on as an alternate on MTS for 8 years. But I'm not like married to the position. You know, I do think we could bring, MTS is totally different. I could bring Steve up to speed on MTS if he wants to be the lead on that. Another suggestion is, because it's not just, yes, it's a matter of fairness, but really it's a matter of dividing up the work. None of us want to be, you know, at every meeting, unless you're the mayor of National City, who does like to be at all meetings. But, you know, so I you know, Heartland Fire, or the alternate on that, we could make that switch if you're interested there. And then I've promised my family that I'm gonna retire in 2 years, so I will do my darndest to bring, Mr. Fayai up to speed on, MTS, so that eventually he can take over that board position as well, if that's something that you think you would like to do. There are a couple things going on with MTS right now that, I think it would be good for me to continue. But, you know, I'd like you to go to a few meetings this year as the alternate, because to me, that's the best way that you learn, is to actually be present at the meeting, sit in the chair, meet the other, board members, and we can definitely talk about, you know, when those dates could be. And then, with Helix Water District, those meetings, I've done that for 8 years also. Those meetings have just become a little difficult for me because I'm now taking care of my grandson after school, and he's in 1st grade. And, their meetings are very long. They start at 3 o'clock, and you can attend on Zoom. You don't have to attend in person. I do it on Zoom. And they can be, you know, 2-3 hours long, and it's hard to find something, it's hard to keep a 7-year-old quiet for 3 hours while you're on a Zoom meeting. But so if you would agree to be the council seat there, that would be, I would really appreciate it. So, that's all I have to say about that.
All right, thank you so much for everybody's input. So I'll address some of the issues as well. Metro Commission, Metro Wastewater JPA. So I need to disclose that I had the opportunity and actually really struggled with this for many of the reasons that Mr. Woods presented, was that, you know, the city elected its officials, and I think it's important for the people who got elected to carry their own voice. And so right after the election, I had reached out to Mr. Jones to talk to him a little bit about it. And then I spoke with Karen Keys, who's the director there. I also spoke with, in addition to, I spoke with Jose Preciado, who's another member on the commission. Everybody said the exact same thing. Please keep Jerry, we need him. And so, I struggled with that. I spoke with Jerry and I spoke with Karen, and Jerry did make the commitment that Councilmember Mendoza is asking for, that he would mentor Jessica Heredia through this process. And then also Karen Key said she would, the director, said she would personally help you get up to speed and everything, which is a very important offer, I think, coming from Karen. So I really appreciated what they came with that. So that's the reason why I suggested moving Jerry Jones to primary and to Jessica Heredia. I'd also asked if the alternate at important times could step forward, and the answer was no, according to the bylaws. So, I still think that that's a good decision, but it wasn't lightly made, and I really want to express to Mr. Jones, because I know that he loves his tractors and would rather be there than in these meetings. And, thank you for saving so much money for our city and doing this hard work. Regarding the MTS, and moving Mendoza to primary and Councilmember Fayad to, the alternate position, I think there's a lot of things going on in MTS right now, and Jennifer's long history in there will best serve the city. And so, you still will have many opportunities as an alternate to be in there, but there's so much going on that it's nice to be the alternate for a while, to get up to speed. Sandbag, I think everybody's in agreement on that. The next one where I wanted to bring some attention is Heartland Fire, so I agree with the changes there. I would like to see for Heartland Fire, the primary seat be Fayad, Councilmember Fayad, and the alternate, Councilmember Mendoza. And then on the Helix Water District,
Actually, it's two.
oh, it's two, so both of them.
Two separate meetings.
Okay, and so for Heartland Fire Training Facility Authority, to have those switch as well. So that would be, the primary would be Councilmember Fayad, and the alternate would be Councilmember Mendoza. Then for the Helix Water District, I'd like the primary seat to be Councilmember Fayad, and the alternate seat to be Councilmember Heredia. Part of that is because water and wastewater have a lot of overlap, and I think that would be a good position. And then one of the things that I wanted to highlight is the League of Cities. So in League of Cities, I'm currently the second vice president for the San Diego County, or first vice president now, for the San Diego County region. And so I have to go to these meetings. And so, but the League of Cities meetings, you can go to, and there's also the caucus, and I highly encourage the new council members to take advantage of the different caucuses and become really involved in there. You'll have the opportunity to go to a training seminar, but League of Cities is what you make of it, and there's a lot of opportunities, and you don't have to hold one of the seats on there. You can just become a participant in a different form. So highly encourage them to do that. I'll go back around and see if there's any further comments. But before we get more comments, I'll turn it over to the city manager.
Just to clarify, the Heartland Communication Facility Authority, you're switching Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza to the alternate and Councilmember Fayad to the permanent seat, to the council representative. And then the same for the Heartland Fire and Training Authority. Councilmember Fayad is the city's representative and Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza is the alternate.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, any further deliberation, Councilmember Fayad?
Couple of things. I've heard a lot of things about Jerry Jones. All good, of course. And so one of my concerns when we were coming into this was, I believe that and I think Madam Mayor and Councilmember Mendoza, you guys have mentioned this. I think it's about, we'd for Jerry Jones to pass on, you know, to work with Councilmember Heredia to pass on the baton. I think it's important, I've heard so many things about you. I know you got a wealth of knowledge, not only in this particulars with Metro wastewater, but you have just a wealth of knowledge for the city of Lemon Grove, and I think it, as you fulfill this next year, I think it would be a great thing for you to pass the baton, and it's part of your legacy here in Lemon Grove. I think, the more that, the better we become is you leaving the wealth of knowledge, not only to Councilmember Heredia, but myself and Councilmember Jennifer Mendoza is probably smarter than you, so I'm just kidding. But I believe that's part of your legacy, Jerry, and you and I haven't been able to connect yet, but I think that's part of your legacy, being able to pass on your wealth of knowledge to us. And so I agree with that. And if I could say one more question for you, Madam Mayor, when we do fulfill the 5th seat, will there be adjustments to this? And so I'm just thinking about, I know that this seems like a lot for all of us, it's a lot of responsibility. So I'm assuming that this is kind of like wet cement right now, right? Until we appoint that 5th member, and I'm pretty sure they'll take up some of this responsibility too. And the other thing too is, I look forward to learning with MTS. I mean, there's on all these seats. I mean, there's a wealth of knowledge that you guys have because you guys have been here before, and so I'm looking forward to the opportunity to learn what you know, and so that way we can better serve our city the best way we know how. So, but that's all I have to say to that. I agree with all the changes that you made. I think that's healthy for our city. But I also believe that it'd be cool to get the 5th member with some responsibility to do some shows up.
So to answer your question, yes, definitely. So I like the wet cement, yes. So yeah, this will be our plan, and then when we bring the person on board February 18th, then we'll be able to switch the appointments around a little bit. Plus, it'll give you guys the opportunity to see time investment and everything before you're committed to an entire year of it. So definitely. All right, Councilmember Heredia.
Okay, I wanted clarification on the water district. I wasn't clear. Did FI go to the alternate or the main council seat?
To the primary.
Okay, so it looks like I'm only going to be on the East County Chamber. And this once a year wastewater, which I assume would be at the end of the year, I'm not sure. Or is that incorrect, maybe too, and that's Jerry.
So. Yes.
So, you're also our second alternate on the Sandag Board of Directors. And, I think I sent you an email about this, but usually, the mayors of the four East County mayors, so Sandag is kind of split up into regions, and we're in the East region with Santee, El Cajon, La Mesa, and Lemon Grove. And there's, 5 or 6 Sandag committees, transportation, planning, borders, public safety, executive committee, and there's an audit committee. And so the mayors, and we can, as the alternates, we can go to that meeting also and put ourselves forward for committee positions. So, for instance, I've been on the transportation committee for many years. And those meetings are, on the second Friday of the month. I think they're actually at 9 o'clock, unless they change the time. So those are monthly meetings that you would be attending also. So we should talk, well, we can't, the three of us talk about that, that's the brown eye. But you should talk with the mayor about, which committee you might be interested in, and if you served as an alternate, you can also attend, like, I've been the alternate on transportation several years also, and I've attended every meeting as an alternate, and you get reimbursed for those meetings. As an alternate, yes.
Only at the meeting,
Only, no,
oh, the committee.
you can, so.
I'm not sure, probably, I guess.
Okay, so the main, seat might be from La Mesa. And you from Monday Grove can still go to the meeting as an alternate. Both of you are reimbursed or can attend. And you can speak at the meeting, you can provide input, you just can't, if the main person's there, you can't vote, but you can still provide input from the city of Monroe, which is important to do when they're doling out money for transportation projects, so.
Okay, and then.
Thank you for letting me.
And then just, those were my only questions. And then also I wanted to kind of address the Jerry Jones, reappointment. I also wanted to just make it clear that I think it's very important that we, this is the last year that Jerry Jones serves as an unelected official on this board. It's very, very, very important that a person representing the city is on that seat. And I'll tell you why. I don't remember a single time of Jerry Jones coming in here and giving a public, account of what he's been doing at wastewater, and that's one of the things that we do at the end of the meeting is give our reports to council. So I think it's important that we get also a commitment from Jerry Jones that he will come to the meetings to give us some kind of feedback, because the public never gets any insight if he doesn't do it here. Other than that, I definitely agree that his wealth of knowledge is important, and I look forward to his mentorship. Because I know that 22 years is an awful long time to be on anything.
I did have a question, Jessica, and Councilmember Fayai. Do you guys want to switch positions on water, or are you fine with Councilmember Fayai taking primary and you alternate?
I just didn't want Fayai to be overwhelmed. He's got 3 main big ones. But I don't mind. I just didn't want him to be overwhelmed and then me to be underwhelmed, if that makes sense. I have a lot to give, and I want to put my, abilities to work.
Okay, so Councilmember Fayai said that they could switch, so we'll, for Helix Water District, we'll have Iridia be the primary. And Councilmember Fayai be the alternate. And if any of this gets to be too much for anybody, that's why we have alternates. Call your lifeline. Okay, Councilmember Mendoza, do you have any final points?
Again, I'm only saying this here because we can't really privately talk to each other about too much stuff. But I do want to encourage, for instance, with the Helix Water District, go have a tour. It's super interesting, and they'd be more than glad to host you for a tour out at the facility. And the same thing for Heartland Fire, and I'll go with you too, because I haven't been in a long time. Tour the communications facility in particular. It's all new. I haven't even seen it for a while. And the fire training facility is amazing. Both of them are out in El Cajon. I'm sure someone would be more than glad to take you on a tour of the pure water. I have drank the water. Yes, I have drank the water. So, and I survived. We're all gonna have to drink that water eventually. So, anyway, take advantage of these things as much as you can possibly do.
All right, so does everybody feel good about this final version? And staff, do you need any clarifications? If you don't mind, I'm gonna reiterate what the changes, only the changes, not the ones that have stayed the same. Yes. So for Metro JPA, we will have as primary Jerry Jones, and the alternate will be Jessica Heredia. For MTS, we'll have Jennifer Mendoza as primary, and Mr. Payai as alternate. Heartland Communications, primary will be Mr. Payai, alternate will be Ms. Mendoza. Heartland Training Facility, primary will be Mr. Payai, alternate will be Ms. Mendoza. Helix Water District, primary will be Ms. Heredia, and alternate will be Mr. Payai. And then, those were the only changes that I had. And if you don't mind, Mr. Jones, Mr. Jerry Jones, if you'd like to come up and just, let us confirm that you're still interested.
Let me just say I've been drafted. I did not intend to speak. I spent this last year at Metro trying to prepare for my exit. And we made some big changes there in the organization. But there's been some really major things that came up that we didn't quite get to. The one being the agreement with San Diego, Sarah, the second amendment. And we have, and then we've got the new billing system, which I've been pushing that for 8 years. And then to add to all of that, there's been 3 spills since 2020, sewer spills from the Metro system, which we all pay for. So that, at the moment, is heating up. We have a closed session on Thursday. Well, depending upon your vote, it could be they. They have a closed session on that, and that's the second spill, and we haven't even gotten to the January 22nd spill from 2024. So I can tell you all what's going on, but then I'd have to kill you. It's closed session stuff. But anyway, considering everything that's going on, I agreed to stay. And you're right, Jennifer, my trackers are calling me. Jessica, listen, I'm not known for my brevity. So anybody that wants to be mentored, you may come to regret that. But I always like talking about Lemon Grove. I especially like talking about wastewater. My colleagues, when I was on council, never wanted to hear from me. So reports, have your reports?
3 hours.
On the reports, the staff asked me to do mailing reports, which I did. And lately, as part of our reorganization, the new executive director is giving a monthly report, which I forward, and the council all gets. So, I can come here and tell you the same things that you want to read, but I'd love to stay and talk about wastewater, but again, my colleagues and you all probably don't, your eyes are going back in the back of your head. I wish you hadn't asked for that. But anyways, yes, I want this to be my last year, and at some point, we do have to hand it off, and I'm okay with that. My board asked me, my staff asked me, and so here I am, and I'm willing to serve, and I won't say no. So, any other questions? Jessica, you got any questions?
No, but I'll be at every meeting and I'll give the reports for you.
There you go. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Well, I really appreciate the collaboration and
the hard work that I know these are gonna require. And I'm also excited to have a fifth person to help kind of spread this out, because, what happens next is, the city manager will forward this information to different boards and commissions and committees, and then we'll start getting mail and emails, updating you on the dates and times for the meetings, and then you'll be able to have the opportunity to go to the meetings. Some of them have, like Sandag has, East County briefing sessions. I highly encourage, anybody and everybody to attend those, so you know what's going on in the county, with Sandag. And if you have any questions about attending or the number of meetings, and especially if you're not unable to attend, please let your alternate know, so that we have coverage at those meetings. All right, have we provided now staff enough information?
I think we got, you received the affirmation of the appointments, and we will move forward with letting the respective agency know who their representatives are. Thank you.
All right. So this concludes this section of the meeting, and now we'll move to council member meeting reports. So these are meetings that council members have attended on behalf of the city, and they're providing updates and information on them. So we will start with council member Fayad. Yeah, this is where we go through, any events that you've done in the community and stuff. I've seen you out there, I've seen you on Facebook, so I know you've been busy.
Yeah, we went, so, that we do have an awesome, group called Revitalize Broadway, bunch of passionate Lemon Grovers. But we went, myself and Councilmember Mendoza and Councilmember Heredia, we went Christmas caroling with them down on Broadway, and so that was really fun. Being able to sing songs to the businesses. We even got to go into El Pollo Grill and sing Feliz Navidad, so that was pretty cool. And then let's see, 2 weeks ago on Saturday, my wife and I, we did a Caltrans cleanup with the one and only Teresa Rosiak, so that was awesome. That was pretty fun. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right, Councilmember Heredia.
Okay, I did also attend the caroling with Revitalize Broadway, and I must have forgot, but he also attended with me a graffiti abatement cleanup that we did last weekend, or this last weekend. And we did that with the volunteer veterans group, with Josh Klein and David Eckler and and Ken King. So, and Home Depot was good enough to donate all the paint, so thank you, Home Depot.
Councilmember Mendoza.
On December 19, I attended the MTS board meeting, and there were several topics we discussed. One was Senate Bill 434, which is requiring transit district to survey riders, and we had a report of the survey, which was very interesting, and I'll share it with you. We also discussed project labor agreement monitoring, and a yield to bus program. And then we had a closed session conference with labor negotiators. Then on December 21st, we did our monthly Lemon Grove food distribution, which Councilmember Fayad also came and helped with. He has to start writing this stuff down.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were really glad to have him and his entire family. Oh, I think it was your entire family. And anyway, they were very, I'm sure it was very eye-opening, and we really appreciate your help. And then that night we did the Christmas caroling together, which was fun. On a very sad note, on December 28th, the city manager and I both attended services for Jim Abel. Jim was a community crime prevention I get that mixed up. Crime prevention specialist here at the city of Lemon Grove for quite a few years, and he was a giant of a man with a giant heart, and his untimely death hit us all hard, but it was a wonderful celebration of his life, and an opportunity for us to show up and show his family how much we appreciated the work that he did here at Lemon Grove.
Thank you. And for me, on December 18th, I attended the East County Economic Development Committee. On December 20th, I attended the League of Cities San Diego County Division planning session. We got together to decide who we were going to invite to come to meetings and kind of the direction for San Diego County at the League of Cities. On December 21st, I also attended the Lemon Grove food distribution. It was really great. We had an amazing amount of food, and we needed it. There were a lot of families and people in need, even during the holidays, or especially during the holidays. On January 2nd, I was able to attend the Lemon Grove Historical Society's event, Meet the Mayor. And so I was gonna, yeah, it would have been really awkward. Yeah. So, but that was an amazing opportunity to be able to share kind of my path that took me here, but also the vision for that Lemon Grove over the next few years. And so that's all I have at this time. I'll turn the time over to the city manager for her report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'm actually gonna have both the fire chief and then Sergeant Ken Seal, take my time for the report. So, Fire Chief, can you talk a little bit about the wind event and the preparations that needs to happen for the next couple of days?
Yes, good evening. I just wanted to give you a quick heads up. We are anticipating, and we are actually already starting to experience a significant Santa Ana wind event in Southern California. Usually this event starts north of us and then it moves down south towards us. Currently there are 2 significant fires in Los Angeles County already. We had a couple of smaller fires east of here in Julian. And with that, I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware, be prepared. If you have loose furniture, loose equipment around your residences, please secure that. Be really careful with fire safety and have a plan in case the power gets cut off or you get a fire. So just everybody be vigilant and be careful. And as far as the preparations go, on state level, California Office of Emergency Services has set up some pre-positioned strike teams and resources and has allocated funds to do that. This time, Lemon Grove's OES rig that we received just a little while ago is not part of the plan yet. We're still outfitting it. However, we just sent out some resources from our area. They're heading up to Los Angeles tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock.
As for the Sheriff's Office, we're here to support the fire department with any fire events that happen here in the city of Lemon Grove. The Sheriff's Office has put additional deputies on standby over the next few days should there be any significant fire events here in the city or the county of San Diego.
And I also want to add that the Public Works team is standby ready in the event that there's any downed trees. So please report those to the city system or to 911. They'll get a hold of our city staff after hours. And also for trash cans, if you have trash cans that don't have anything in them, please secure them so they don't go flying around. We're expecting winds plus 45 50, 70 miles an hour in this location, so please be aware and take some measures to protect your home and protect your cars.
And just last thing I wanted to just share with everybody, there is a countywide application on your phone that everybody should have downloaded into your phone. It's called Genesis Protect. That is a notification application, so if there is evacuation warning or evacuation orders that are coming out, that would notify your phone knowing where you are and give you a heads up what's going on.
And then, Sergeant Seal, could you do a quick little update on the tragic accident that happened on the 1st? If there's any additional information the Sheriff's Department can share related to that?
Yes, ma'am. I'll pass it on to our traffic sergeant, Sergeant Price.
Good evening, I'm William Price, I'm your city's traffic sergeant. So we don't really have an update different from what we provided the media over the weekend. However, the most popular question we keep getting from the media is, have there been any arrests made? Which there have not, and that's simply because these types of investigations take time. I can tell you moving forward what to expect with the investigation, so we've collected blood samples from both drivers, which will be analyzed for alcohol and toxicology. So we'll have a better idea on that. Those turnarounds typically take about 2 weeks from our crime lab. We have good surveillance video footage, and dash cam footage was provided by another motorist that was not involved. We have one of the driver's cell phones, which we've written several warrants for a lot of these aspects, and the cell phone download will give us an idea, or at least eliminate this distracted driving as a possibility. The vehicles, we've written warrants for the vehicles. We're gonna do a download on basically the brain of the vehicle, which depending on the vehicle's gear capabilities, we can get a lot of information from that, from speeds to braking input, things like that. And then if, say, we do get some type of blood alcohol content or drug in the system, we'll obviously pursue criminal charges at that point. And then if we have evidence supporting just general negligence, we'll also pursue criminal charges if that's applicable.
Thank you, Sergeant Price, for the update, and thank you, Chief, for the update on the wildfire. Madam Mayor, we're done. I'm officially done with my report.
And I'd just like to conclude the meeting, and thank you so much for providing those important reports. It was really good for ongoing safety and security. So everybody who was here, please let your neighbors know, batten down the hatches, but also to take the time to appreciate the significance of the accident and to let us know a little bit more what was going on, the status of the investigation. We look forward to updates on that as well. It's a really hard and difficult loss. Just a reminder, everybody take care of each other, slow down. The most common complaint I get is people asking for speed bumps and stop signs, and most of the time it's your neighbors or you. So slow down, drive carefully, respect one another and the roads. So with that, we have no closed session for today. Our next regularly scheduled city council meeting will be on Tuesday, January 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much.
Spread them out and just go Wow, I went back east. I shouldn't because I need to get up a lot before my ankles fall. So I'm going to do this mistake plane, and then when I get there, I'll fly. I go back
I got it, this part now, I'm forgetting.
Yes. Do the side, you know where that little space is, do the side or do the front?